International news now.
So another story that we've been following all semester has made headlines again this week, the debate over the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. As you remember, DACA was an Obama administration program that protected so-called dreamers, children who were brought to the United States illegally as children from deportation. President Trump reversed Obama's executive order protecting the dreamers from deportation, but then delayed the execution of the order for 6 months to give Congress time to fix it and allow them to stay in the country. Now, there was a tentative deal agreed to early in the process between President Trump and the Democratic congressional leadership, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. However, this deal has now fallen apart. According to the executive order, Congress has until March to come to a new deal. However, this issue is back on the agenda because the national government faces a crucial vote on extending funding to avoid a government shutdown. Democrats are threatening to block this funding, which would shut down the government if a deal on DACA is not passed. Before getting into the debate over DACA and how it's playing out, we first need to back up a bit and explain why the Democrats have any leverage on this issue at all. After all, the Republicans control both houses of Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate, and the presidency, so we have unified government. Indeed, the Republicans passed a huge tax cut and reform bill without a single vote from the Democratic Party last week. So why can't the Republicans pass a resolution to extend funding to keep the government running and avoid a shutdown? The answer lies within a Senate rule that requires 60 votes to pass a resolution to extend funding to keep the government open. Republicans have a slight majority of 52 seats in the Senate, but they don't have 60 votes without some Democrats going along. This rule empowers Democrats. So we see again here the power of institutions, the rules in shaping politics. Now, DACA comes into play then in the debate over a government shutdown because some Democrats want to use that leverage they have to avoid a government shutdown to force the Republicans to accept a deal on DACA that would protect the dreamers from facing deportation. However, the Democrats have a number of other issues they also want to get through during this debate over a government shutdown. So DACA is not their only condition for supporting a resolution to extend funding for the government. Remember, the Republicans are willing to talk about a deal on DACA, but they want something in return, specifically more border security measures and funding. So each side wants to gain some concessions from the other, and neither side wants to give up too much. It's also important to remember that neither side wants a government shutdown. It's unclear who would be harmed more from such a shutdown, and neither side wants to find out. While the Democrats are threatening to hold out over DACA and risk a government shutdown, Republican leaders argue that Congress has until March to get a deal on DACA, and it would be ridiculous to threaten a shutdown on a non-emergency issue. So leaders like Mitch McConnell want to delink, or separate the issues of DACA and extending funding for the government. They want to extend funding first and then talk about DACA. Now, as a final wrinkle, there's some support for DACA among Republicans. One Republican, Jeff Flake from Arizona, made his support of tax reform contingent on Republican support for a deal on DACA. So there's a good possibility that some deal can be done. Flake's got a commitment problem there, right? Yeah. He's already going to vote for that bill before potentially something on DACA comes out, and so the Republican leadership might let him go, in part because he's also said he's not going to run for re-election.
So he's
yeah, so as we said before, the bases of each party have dug in on this issue. The Democratic base wants a clean deal protecting dreamers from deportation that doesn't include any other provisions that would strengthen border security, like building the wall, what Trump has long talked about, or otherwise tighten restrictions on immigration. And the Republican base wants significant tightening of immigration restrictions in exchange for any deal on DACA and the dreamers. So right now, both seem willing to let the government run out of money and shut down to get what they want on this issue.